Hopefully I won't sleep if I switch off the light. Now this one? Is that better? Okay. So what do you see on the left side? What is that? Does it ring a bell? What is that? What's the guy doing there on the left? He's actually a barber, right? It's a image of a barber. On the right side, what do you see? Sorry?
That's like a book opening kind of thing.
He's an author, right? He's an author. So two completely different domains, so to speak. When I talk about barber and his annual income, what does it does it ring a bell for you guys? When I look at a barber, and if I look at all the barbers in Bangalore, for example, can I with some accuracy say that this is what he's going to earn within a percentage difference of whatever it is, right? So if I look at mean and sigma, maybe 1 or 2 sigma, can I cover the entire, let's say the population of barbers in Bangalore, for example? Would that be fairly accurate? Regardless of how good he is, he might be a brilliant barber. He might be Sachin Tendulkar, right? For all that we know, in terms of cutting hair, but does it matter, right? He might be faster. He might take a little bit of a higher cut for a better haircut. But come on, I mean, is he going to earn beyond a certain point? I mean, due respect to them, I'm not saying I'm not sort of undermining. Just saying the reality of the industry. Compare that with an author. What's the difference with an author? How many of you know Dan Brown? All of us do, right? Do you know that before he became very successful as an author, there were 1 or 2 of his books that nobody even cared about, right? I mean, it was only only after his 3rd book that he became really popular. So the thing about this is they're completely different domains. Till the point you become successful, you may not make anything, right? But when you become successful, what's going to happen? Sorry? Sure. I mean, the sales would exponentially increase. What's going to happen to your previous books? Let's go take a step further. They also go up, right? I mean, when I've been complete dud in the market for the first 2 books, you may not have written good books as well, but just because he's had a success, even the previous books can become successful. This is completely different. Can you explain this with normal distribution, for example? How many of you are aware of normal distribution here? All of us are. Anybody who's read Black Swan, the Black Swan? Okay, some of you have, right? So all I'm doing here is really explaining the Black Swan to you, okay? So what we have here is a normal distribution, which is what we're talking about when it comes to the barbers, right? A normal distribution where we're saying with some mean and 60, maybe 2 or 3 sigma, I can explain everything that you can about a barber in Bangalore, right? That's what we're saying. But when it comes to an author, what distribution is that? What kind of distribution? Okay, long tail distribution. Fair enough. So you can see that in a long tail distribution, and you can explain this in a number of different fields, not necessarily with an author. Right? You can give me a number of examples where this is true. You look at VC, venture capitalists who invest in companies. If they invest in 10 companies, it's probably going to be maybe nowadays in India it's probably 50 companies. One of them is going to make enough money to sort of cover up for the rest of all the losses they're going to have. So that's the reality. That's the reality in the world today, right? We're moving more from a normal distribution world, a Gaussian distribution world, to a world where we're talking of long tail distributions, and that's where we're moving towards. Fair enough. So that's the reality. We're going to talk a lot more about this long tail distribution and how it's playing, and it's going to impact us as individuals as well. Perfect. All right. So what you're going to see here, I don't know if it's visible to you guys, but essentially you have 4 different sort of images out there. The first image is that of you look at it. What we're talking about here is really handset manufacturers in the globe, right? Across say Nokia, iPhone, Samsung, and what's happening in the market there, right? So someone tell me what do you see out there? You don't have to look at the numbers out there. You don't have to look at the different vendors that are there. What do you see? What's your view of what's happened in the smartphone industry?
Symbian has dropped.
Sure. So Symbian having dropped, what's the impact with? So let's go back. Let's go back 10 years. 10 years back, who are the incumbents? Who are the people that you would want to become in the smartphone industry? A Nokia, or BlackBerry, or what have you. Where are they today? How many of you have Nokia by the way today? It's okay, lift your hand if you have it. Anyway, with due respect to them, what is the problem? Why is it that it's sort of under the? I mean, they didn't even realize that Apple's going to come in and pick them, where it would really hurt, right? Forget Samsung. Samsung was already there. But what happened with Apple? People just said, "Oh, Apple's never going to come into this space," and they came in and completely changed the game. to an extent where today people are talking of Apple we're talking of smartphones which are of new brands from China or India or wherever, but there's no sign of Nokia. The incumbents who are leading the market, I think 40% to 50% market share. If you look at the graph out there on the top left, you'll find that the incumbents are nowhere to be seen. It's even worse today. This is probably 1 year back. It's even worse than what it was back then. So this is the problem of scale. You don't see what's coming. You're in big trouble, guys. This is the trouble that we're talking about, right? And this is reality even in the industry as well. So we talk about scale, the problems with that. This is the black swan. This is that one single event that can change the game. What is the black swan when it came to the smartphone industry? What about Android? Sorry?
Touchscreen.
Okay, touchscreen was one of it probably. What is the biggest one? Again, it's a viewpoint, but sorry?
The phones can interact with the internet much faster.
Well, they could have done it too. They had more money than these guys. Why didn't Nokia do it?
No, Nokia was doing it, but they had a project where they brought Linux together.
Sure.
But before they could release, the market was completely captive.
Sure, in some sense, yes. But what about the application space? Do you guys think that was? I don't know if anybody's used. I've used it. That's the biggest thing, guys. This is for me and a lot of people who look at this and talk about it. The biggest commentary that one can look at from a perspective smartphone was the fact that applications were available free of cost and people could download. And also, one is the free part. The other one is the fact that you had so many options. It was not the case with Symbian, believe me. And same thing with Android, same thing with iPhone, whatever you're looking at, right? That's the biggest thing. How many applications could you provide? They didn't even believe that. They said, hey, my phone looks great, it works fantastic. In fact, to be honest, I used one of these smartphones that Nokia had. I think this is like 9 years or 8 years back, and it was really, really good one. It was actually a business phone, similar to BlackBerry, E62 or whatever, right? Awesome phone, but it didn't work because it's not just about the touch of the screen. Or it's not just that. It's also about what kind of applications you can provide. I mean, all the other things about UI and all that is true, but this is also the fact as well. You've got to be able to provide those applications to the users so they get that experience. All right. So look at the right side. What is that? What do you see there? That's the cloud space, right? And what do you see on the cloud space? What has happened? Or let's look at hardware, or look at hardware as an industry as a whole. What is it that you're seeing? I mean, the incumbents 10 years, 15 years back, who were the incumbents back then? When you look at storage solutions or hardware solutions, server solutions, who were the incumbents? Sorry? IBM, Oracle, Oracle since after they took over Sun, or whichever those companies were, right? I mean, HP, all these guys were incumbents, they were ruling the market. There was absolutely nobody else in sight, right? All of you would agree, right? Today, what's happening? Has anybody heard Larry's presentation over the last 5 years? Anybody, or 6 years, 7 years in open world? You would know how he's changing his I mean, with due respect to Larry, he's changed his, I think 7 or 8 years back, he said, there's nothing called cloud. Cloud exists in the cloud is what he mentioned, I think 8 years back or 9 years back. And now today, all he talks about in open world is AWS. Just go and search for open world for last year and Larry's presentation. The only keyword that you'll find is Amazon. So things have changed drastically over the years. And Amazon is completely, sort of Amazon, Google, and with due respect to Microsoft as well, they held their own, right? So there are these companies that are coming out of the blue and they're completely taking over the market. What is the black swan here when it came to this hardware space? What was it that sort of changed the industry? What's the single event? Sure, internet access for sure. I mean, availability of really fast networks, ability to do stuff on the cloud.
Cheap storage.
Sure, cheap storage, right? So a lot of different things that have played a part, but again, something that the incumbents could not see. The bigger you are as an elephant, and I've been in this enterprise company, so I can talk about it with some authority as well. With a lot of good intentions, still they can only do so much because the elephant is so big. For it to move, it takes a little bit more time.
The explosion of internet and unstructured data.
Sure, unstructured data. It comes back to the NoSQL. Absolutely right. In fact, a lot of this also comes back to unstructured data, size of data. That's why I'm again setting the context for NoSQL databases. Okay. All right. The last part, which is closer to home, is the NoSQL part. 10 years back, in fact, 7 years back, which is the only database company you've heard of? Period. Right. I mean, Oracle. Some of you really enthusiastic database guys, maybe DB2, maybe MySQL, probably a little bit of MySQL. But that's it, right? Postgres to some extent, 1 or 2 MS SQL, maybe Access, period, right? What about today, guys? I talked of Mongo, every one of you raised your hand. I talked of Aerospike, some of you raised your hand. Regardless of that, most of you have heard of NoSQL. Now it's sort of taking shape where these NoSQL companies are beginning to sort of impact sales of these biggies. And this is a very tough industry to get in, more so than any one of the others that we talked about. Database is sticky. You buy a database, it's extremely difficult to go out of it. You all would know that. ERP solutions, for example. You get into an ERP solution, you're done for life. And that's what they used to say. Now it's changing. Examples of ERP where it's changed, by the way, before we move on. Is ERP the same as it was before? Who are the incumbents in the ERP space that you know of? SAP, Oracle. Who's coming into the picture right now? I mean, you can talk of it in multiple dimensions, but a lot of Salesforce, a lot of different Workdays, very small companies, and they're beginning to make a big impact in this market. So everywhere you go, guys, this is the theme that I'm talking about. Every single industry that you go into, if it doesn't change, it will change. Okay? And what the changes that have happened, is that constant? No, it's going to keep on changing. So in fact, last count, the number of NoSQL companies in the industry is 305, or number of total databases that you have in the market, 305 to 310 different databases. All of them waiting for the single black swan event to propel them to the next level. Okay, it can hit you both ways, right? It can hit you in a way which can help you go to the next level, or it can impact you in such a way that you're completely gone. You could be a Nokia, which is non-existent virtually today. So you got to be careful. These black swan events are extremely powerful, and you got to be aware of it. Okay. All right. So I think we just covered this. Yeah, known and unknown unknowns. So when you look at unknowns, right? When I say unknowns, what do you mean by known unknown? Can you give me an example of a known unknown? Sorry?
Any natural calamity, you know that it can come back and hit you.
Sure. So for example, if you have a data center, let's look at a real data center. A data center in the East Coast, right, next to say a beach in Florida or whatever. There's an obvious chance that there could be a tsunami or something that can hit it, right? You can have a case where the data center might go down. That's a known unknown. You can probably cater to it. How do you cater to that kind of an event? Sure, you have some kind of a BCP. People who are familiar with BCP, right? You have some kind of contingency planning, right? What do you do in case it strikes? You can plan for it, for sure. What is an example of an unknown unknown?
Market crash.
Sure, market crash is a great example. What else? 9/11 rings a bell. What happened 9/11? Yes, it's a very significant event, right? Unfortunately, for all the wrong reasons. But what happened 9/11? In fact, my boss's boss in Mongo, he was apparently in the towers when it struck. So he had to run down. He's still the VP in Mongo. He had to run down the building and escape from there. So he talking to him about what happened 9/11 is really scary. But regardless of that, what happened to companies back then? In 1 second, you could be wiped out. You can't plan for it. If this building were to go down right now, what do you plan? Bad luck, tough luck, that's it, right? You got to wind down. If your entire operations is there, that's very unfortunate. So the reality is, you can plan for outages when it comes to known unknowns, but unknown unknowns, tough luck, right? You can do some things, but not everything. You can't cover for everything out there. All right, let's look at this in more detail. So what I'm talking about when it comes to unknown unknowns is the black swan effect. That single event that can make a huge difference in that industry, for that person, as an author, for example, or anything else, right? Anything else that's a single event. So for people who are on the right side of the equation, it's going to be a positive black swan. It's going to take you to the next level. Fair enough? For people who are on the bad side, and the Nokias of the world, what's going to happen? You're wiped out. You're gone. Before you even realize it, in fact, Nokia tried a lot of different things. Don't make no mistake. Once they realized that Apple is coming in, Android is coming up, they tried a lot of different things. They went to Symbian, they tried something else. Nothing worked out. So the honest truth is, when you're struck on the wrong side of the black swan, it's tough, right? The game is over pretty much. So we look at what you can do, right? What are things you can do? And if you're into the Gaussian world is standard world, right? The barber shop, remember the example out there? That's a world which we all know of. It's a familiar world. 1960s, 70s, 80s, the world was more predictable in many ways, right? I mean, your parents might disagree and say, no, the world was much more unpredictable back then. But the reality is, because of the fact that we didn't have a connected world, an impact to something that might happen locally was impacting only that area. Today, a death in, say, Bangalore, some unfortunate death in Bangalore can have an impact to the government, central government in India. Or something that might happen, some person in the US, in some part of US making one statement can have a repercussion globally. That's the kind of world that we're talking about. Back then, nobody would even report it, right? Who cares, right? I mean, I didn't even know which part of US was Florida, right? Today, everybody knows. There's a person in a village who knows. In fact, if you look at the election of India or US or a lot of different places, in many ways you can attribute it to social media, the power of information. I mean, all these news agencies and all that, nobody cares anymore. People can decipher things on their own. You can't fool them anymore. It's a different world.